Hello and welcome to Travisso Luxury Living. We're here at a beautiful Toll Brothers model nestled in the hill country in the community of Travisso, which is drawing tremendous interest right now. And got a great panel here with us today. First of which, I'd like to start with uh, Jeff Joseph with ERA Experts, top producing agent, does a tremendous amount of work here in the northwest area of town. Jeff, why is this conversation so important today?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are aware of a couple things. First, the market has shifted a bit, and that shift has caused buyers to be a little bit more discerning. And a good bit of that discernment is maybe they're trending a little bit, realizing they can get a little bit more luxury for what they're buying, and nothing is more luxury than Treviso, right? So first they're drawn with the views. The views bring them in, and then as soon as you drive in the entryway, you understand the community that you're moving into. And then ultimately, when they visit a builder like Toll Brothers, the quality is immediately evident, and that keeps them.
Yeah, I think that's very, very well said. And it's nice that you mentioned the streetscape here,
Yeah.
because Treviso has a sense of arrival, unlike really so few communities. So
Yeah.
you'd almost have to look at communities where homes start in the $2 and $3 million
Definitely.
range. So you've got this big, big entry.
Yeah, and you feel it as soon as you
Yeah,
dive in.
yeah, it really does have that. It's palpable and
Yeah.
and kinesthetic. You can really feel it. Um, so we've also got some some special guests with us from Toll Brothers. Gentlemen, I'd love for y'all to introduce yourselves and tell us your roles with Toll Brothers. We'll start with you, Russell.
All right, I'm Russell Drake. I've been with Toll Brothers now 12 years, and came out into Treviso in 2018. First as a construction manager, and then over the years I've been promoted to the area manager for Leander and Lago Vista.
Outstanding. So 8 years, you have an
From
8 year
the beginning,
overall tenure in Treviso since really this project's
we've
inception.
got to see these canyon lands get developed out. Yeah, but in the beginning it was just coming into the main entrance, and you'd go up Treviso Parkway, and it kind of stopped. Of course, now you can see from any point on Treviso Parkway, you can see almost every park that we touch out here.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. I want to come back to that as well in a minute, and how thoughtful the development has been. Tyler, tell us about what you do here at Toll Brothers.
Yeah, so I'm Tyler Emig. I'm a construction manager over here, and I'm just throughout the day-to-day process of overseeing construction on all of our homes. We have quick move-ins, and we have to-be-built homes that are sold from the beginning. So every week we call our buyers and pretty much just in touch with them throughout the entire build process from start to finish.
That's it's interesting being a new home construction superintendent, which we commonly call builders in the industry, which can be confusing sometimes for our buyer clients. When we say the builder, they wonder, wait, are you talking about the builder like Toll Brothers or the builder like Tyler?
Yeah.
But as a builder, Tyler, you have these internal and external customers. I mean, you're dealing with these vendors and subcontractors and trying to manage timelines.
Of course.
But then you're also customer facing, right? I mean, you've got weekly check-in calls and updates, and I think that's laudable. I think a lot of builders will talk about communicating throughout the construction process, but not everyone has the discipline to actually sit down and make those calls. And you know, every time you pick up the phone and make those calls, you open yourself up to what could be a short conversation or a very lengthy conversation, depending on how much information and interaction the individual customers need.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I love that you have that process in place to communicate with clients. Looking at what this land out here was like prior to development, I think this community is a shining example of how development and nature can kind of work in harmony. Can you speak a little bit to and I know you don't work for the developer, but you've seen this project evolve
Oh yeah.
and the way that they have, kind of woven the streets through. They're not straight shots. The scenery has been preserved out here. Can
Really
you
has.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and even give you a little bit better perspective. Coming from the Houston market, where it's all flatland, right? So when you come into Treviso, it's similar. It's similar in this scape. You're having to work with major topography, so you're building off ridge portions, or you're building off as the land tears down, and in some cases, some of those lower areas as well. So we're working through the topography of it, trying to do a few things. One, keep in touch with the nature around it, right? It's like, building with the land, having land as part of the ownership of the buyers as well, right? You have all this nature trails out here, but there's several of that. There's the green belts, there's the ponds, there's number one, I think what a lot of buyers are doing out here is they're looking for views, right? And so throughout all of this building area, these roads are cut and curving around these ridge lines and valleys. So that way, throughout the tier system, there are sites that have massive views that go out into the hill country.
It's very apparent, and the road design, I think, is a big part of that. Is it challenging building on topography?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's very challenging. In fact, I'll go back to coming from Houston, where the foundations are, 12 inches above the ground, and we did everything in the ground. To here, I think I had a foundation that was 27 foot tall at its highest portion in the back of the home site.
Involve a couple of different
Right, you do
floors.
multiple lifts
Yeah.
and compaction drills, and to get to the top level to start to build off of. So it is difficult, and the engineering has a lot to do with that. They have you have the land engineering, because in some cases we may be building fill, right? We're carving out a hillside, and then on the next portion, taking that same hillside, recompacting it down in and building walls, so that you have home sites here plus home sites here, giving those views, right? So you're engineering the land
Yeah.
for the pad and the home site, and then the next part is you're engineering the house in correlation with the development of the engineering that went into those pad sites as well.
The cut and fill process is really interesting, and it's there's a science to it. In fact, I've had clients, and they will see rolling hills and topography, and they'll say, "Oh gosh, am I going to have a drainage problem?" And I said, "Well, drainage is not going to be a problem here. It's actually the flat home sites where you really have to try to manipulate and affect drainage, where you have a challenge. Out here, it'll drain like Schlitterbahn.
Yes, absolutely.
It's it's either going back to front or front to back or left to right or right to left, but it's going to drain.
It's all topographical design. So as they're building the pads, or in areas we're not doing pad sites or benches, right? There'll be, let's say you just have the rolling hill going with it. Everything is flowing with that hill. So, yep, you could have a home going, all these homes going downhill, and not only do they drain to the front, they could be draining along each other as well as they work out. But yeah, that's one thing we really haven't had to deal with here is, what do I do with ponding water? There is no hot spot.
It's all the time.
Not in.
Yeah.
It's not here. It's on its way to Lake Travis at some point.
Jeff, you've been involved in a lot of new construction sales. How important is the builder to your buyer clients?
Oh, the builder is everything. I mean, so first and foremost, they identify the quality that they would like to have, and then that conversation that they have with the builder, that's super important. Whether it's the sales representative, oftentimes there's a construction manager that gets involved in that they have those conversations with, and in conjunction with a realtor, it helps them walk through that process and understand the house in a way that like a resale home, they would never get that. So super impactful to them, because they just, like you were saying earlier about, you may never get to experience another product that impacts you that much.
All right.
As you do a home that you build from
Right.
the ground up.
Have you ever had a situation where you were dealing with a customer that a buyer that was really worried about an issue or concerned about something, and obviously, homes emote, right? It's where we live. Uh, they're where we're going to make memories, and so sometimes people get really excited about a certain issue. Have you ever seen a situation where having an experienced, knowledgeable realtor to help reassure and guide them through the process was helpful?
Yes, it's happened in the past. It has. A lot of times, like you have to think, right? If a realtor is bringing in a client, the first relationship established was with the realtor, right?
Yeah.
And so the realtor is shopping with them for either a resale home or a new construction build. So if along the way, and 90% of the time these are the reasons, right? A customer's either lived in a home before that wasn't a new construction to them, and they must have had an issue, right? Let's say the home flooded from a dishwasher that leaked all over the house when they were away.
They came with a hot button issue already.
That usually come with hot buttons. They had a bad experience with some type of build somewhere or a land issue somewhere that caused water in the yard that was a problem, or an existing home that they lived in. So they're coming in with hot buttons that they do not want to relive. Right.
Definitely. Yeah.
And so typically, as something they think or perceive as, I see a future problem with this one, they will then, start to express on it and reiterate on it. And sometimes no matter what we try to educate and show force within the processes we put together, we could always rely back onto the realtor who brought them in, because he may know more about their situation and say, look, I know these builders. I work in this stuff. This is what I see all the time. This is what's going in your right. They're not leading you down the wrong path, right? Their best interest is your best interest, right?
That's right.
Because it really is.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we have a conversation about before that, so we can interject at that point because we already have a pre-existing relationship with them. So
I think just building trust with the buyer, like we said, because from the get-go, I'll meet these buyers and do a construction kickoff meeting beforehand. So you really do build trust, and the introduction's big in my opinion, because after your kickoff meeting, you are calling them every week and until you meet them again, ideally in person, until your pre-drywall meeting. But a lot of it's trust too, because I'm always going to tell the buyers the way it is, and I'm not going to lie to them. I want them to feel comfortable at the end of the day.
Right.
So
It works because he probably wouldn't admit it, but he's been out here in Travisso. He carries an average of 96% on the satisfactory rate, and I say that because the majority of his surveys that come in are always at 100, right? And then every now and again you'll get that 99 or 95, and that kind of offsets it.
Yeah, the one person that doesn't give 100 on general principles.
There's that. It happens, right?
But you know what? Setting great expectations up front, I think, goes a long way towards building trust. And then trust is really the sum of promises made and promises kept. So if you set an expectation, you're going to call once a week, and you do it, after a few of those calls, it's like, hey, Tyler's credible. He does what he says he's going to do. And I think successful people do that. I want to talk a little bit more about the build process and the best way a customer can prepare themselves for a successful experience building when we come back after the break. So glad you joined us today. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Travisso, where luxury living meets the serenity of the hill country. Surrounded by nature, Travisso offers a quiet escape from the city, with scenic views, fresh air, and space to slow down and breathe. From resort-style amenities and a stunning clubhouse to walking trails, pools, and gathering spaces, every detail here is designed for comfort and connection. It's a place where mornings feel calm, afternoons feel effortless, and evenings feel like home. Featuring beautifully crafted homes from builders like Taylor Morrison and Toll Brothers, Travisso brings thoughtful design and luxury living into the heart of the hill country. Here, life moves at a different pace, peaceful, welcoming, and inspired by nature. Welcome to Travisso, where home feels like a retreat. Come experience Travisso today and discover a place you'll love to call home.
Welcome back to Travisso Luxury Living. We're visiting with representatives from the construction team at Toll Brothers and top producing agent Jeff Joseph. And we were just most recently discussing the building trust with clients during the new construction process. And Tyler, you talked about weekly calls and really just having good communication, setting good expectations up front. Um, you know, one of the things that I see my buyer clients commonly ask, Jeff, you may have this experience as well. Buyers want to know what happens after closing, what kind of protections they have, and warranties they have. Have you had that experience as well?
Every single time that I've helped someone with a new build, that's one of their main concerns. Sometimes that's the reason why they're selecting a new build versus a resale, is that warranty process that happens after it. So that's when the builder partners come in. They always, I think every single time I've had the experience, they were super good at explaining the warranty process.
Yeah. I think you're right. Buyers want to avoid those nagging aggravations of my roof's worn out, my water heater's going out, my AC's going out. And with a new home, you're going to have probably 3 to 5 years of just very, very basic maintenance, right? Making sure your AC condensate doesn't get clogged up and changing your
Change your
filters and minimal things. And I think that's part of the value proposition. You're going to be more energy efficient. You're not going to have a lot of repair costs and minimal maintenance costs out of the gate. But with respect to your warranty, Tyler, I know you probably have to communicate a little bit about how your warranty works with your buyers at some point in the process. Can you speak briefly to what your warranty program looks like?
Of course. Yeah. So towards the end of the build, obviously we schedule a final walkthrough. But prior to that, they will come back for a sign off. But usually the day of our final walkthrough, we'll do some blue tapes, tags. We do have our customer care team actually meet us the day of the walkthrough. So because the first 90 days, I'll typically take care of anything that goes wrong. Toll Brothers has their own portal online that they will make an account through. And anytime they have anything go wrong, they'll submit a ticket. It'll pop up on my email and I'll send the trade partner there. But our customer care team, recently we changed this to where they meet us at the walkthrough. Because after the 90 days, if they submit a ticket, our customer care team hops in to take over. So yeah, they do a big brief discussion on the year-end list, your bumper-to-bumper functionality of the home, et cetera. So it's good to really, for the buyer to meet our customer face-to-face, it's good for our customer care team.
Yep, well, we have a lot of additional stuff. So working with a luxury home builder, right? With like Toll Brothers, we have partnered with a lot of vendors and trade partners that have the extensions upon them, right? So for example, Kohler, we're an all Kohler plumbing fixture deal. Kohler's lifetime warranty, right? So even though as on the warranty side, we have like a 1-year workmanship and then, a 2-year mechanical and a 10-year structural, that Kohler's lifetime, right? So you can, if your finish goes out, if your
Kitchen faucet fails,
you can go directly through Kohler for those, right?
Excellent.
Air conditioning systems, all builders have roughly 2-year mechanical, and then certain carrying companies like Carrier, Train, Lennox, things like that, they may have extensions on there. So with Toll Brothers, once you close and you register your units, those now have a 10-year warranty on them for all their parts and pieces, right? And the worst thing that could ever happen, 5 years into living in a home and all of a sudden the air conditioning stops working, right? Oh my goodness. Well, if you remember, go back to that warranty deal, you can go through and get those taken care of as well.
So Russell said something very important right there that I want to just call back to our viewers' attention. When you purchase a new home, you're going to get a nice little booklet with lots of registration cards. Most people are busy thinking about their move, and it is a kind of a busy, chaotic time. But it's easy to overlook that. Be sure, take 30 minutes, whatever you need, set it aside, fill out all your registration cards for your kitchen appliances, your air conditioning units, anything that you get a manufacturer registration card. Be sure and fill those out because often that will extend your protection beyond the builder warranty.
Oh yeah.
So,
Very
and
important.
I think it's a very common oversight by a lot of folks.
And with Toll Brothers, we've actually have our HVAC companies doing all that for the homes as they finish them out. But I can't speak to every home builder, right? So it's important, yes, to fill out your own stuff, just to be careful.
So we were talking a little bit about the final walkthroughs. Most builders do some version of a presentation of the home, an orientation of the home with their buyer clients about a week or so before closing. They present the home to them, talk about use and care, and then if there are any noted defects, they can be marked and noted, and then there's a final rewalk before closing. You do something similar to that, I imagine.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the role of inspections in the process, right? Jeff, when you represent a buyer on a new home purchase, do you generally recommend having a third-party inspector?
On every home. So whether it's resale or new build,
Yeah.
I recommend it. So I think on new builds, they're not always getting into the process before the slab is poured.
Right.
Those are kind of the phases that you can have an inspection is the pre-pour of the slab, and then before drywall goes up is the next big milestone, and then before the change of ownership. But every single time I suggest that they have that. If you can't do anything, then before drywall goes up, because then you still have a chance to see everything that's going on in the house.
I wholeheartedly agree. Now, to that end, unlike the resale home that we're just relying on a seller's disclosure notice that they're bound to answer truthfully on, and a third-party inspection of a property that is already wholly constructed, right? A new home is going to have a lot of different checkpoints and inspections along the way. So between engineering, municipal, and individual trade subset inspections along the way, roughly how many inspections does a home go through?
To be fair, you could group plenty of them. For us alone, just here in the Travisso area with Leander as a municipality, I'd say we're probably pushing 20 inspections, if not more, right? For third-party inspection systems, probably one that when you think of value, right, would be doing a final or even an 11-month time frame, because that's now I have something of record that's mine that I didn't get because it's at a city, right? That you can keep for yourself to showcase that your home was in great standing condition when you took ownership of it. Part of that would be too, though, talking about pre-pour foundation inspections, that part has to move at a certain rate because you have to think about weather, right? Like we just went through a lot of rain,
Yeah.
and during that you have a lot of exposure, right, between the materials that are inside of it compacted to prepare the foundation, and you don't want to lose those to the rain, right? Now the good news behind a customer, if you didn't have a third party inspector on that one, yes, you're going to have your city inspections, right? But on top of it, the engineering firms that do the engineering on the foundations typically, and definitely with us, have ownership of those foundations where they're going to pre-check them. And within Leander, just to give an idea, so anyone buying a community in Leander, the city of Leander does require that all builders give the final inspection from the engineer pre-pour on them for record. So you have to do that prior to even scheduling the city pre-pour inspection as well.
Nice.
So that's one where a buyer could save money on. But then again, right, when you're talking, all this stuff is made by humans.
That's
right. It's also inspected by humans. Then we all carry loads, right? Toll doesn't really carry a heavy load like maybe a normal production style builder in a market where they're doing them in roughly 90 days, right?
Yeah.
So we pretty much are hitting our homes 2 to 3 times a day, every day, pretty easily, right?
Yeah, it just provides an opportunity for that buyer to have that extra layer of peace of mind, if nothing else.
Yeah, there's definitely some subjectivity to that process. And I know sometimes there's conflict with the codes that an inspector inspects to and local building code. Sometimes those have to be reconciled, and you're always going to build to local, the municipal code
Right.
first, and then everything else.
Right.
Tyler, customer facing, how does it feel when they bring a third party inspector into the process? Does it ever feel like somebody's in your kitchen a little bit, or do you
Honestly,
feel like they're there to add some value and protection and make the buyers feel good?
yeah, I mean, honestly, I tell them from the beginning, you're more than welcome to get a third party. It's not going to hurt the builder's feelings. At the end of the day, I really just want them to be happy. So, like a week before our final walkthrough, I'm like, yeah, the home's ready. Go get your third party and just send it to me. I actually just had one today. I met the inspector there, said hi to the buyers, and it's not a big deal. We let them do their thing. Like at the end of the day, we just really want our customers to feel comfortable. Like we said, it's a big purchase, so
Yeah.
and honestly, they may be in my kitchen, but we'll take care of anything. We build tight homes, so
Right. We have a really tight process going on code stuff. One of the things we have a whole manual of is called Toll Technical Standards. And I know it sounds Toll Technical Standards, but the reality is it's mostly all building codes,
Yeah.
ASTMs, and all the different manufacturer recommendations throughout all the products that we use in the homes.
Well, you guys represent your company well, and it's clear why Toll Brothers is absolutely one of the leaders in the luxury new home construction space. And really grateful for your time here today, folks. Home inspections. Jeff and I both feel that they're important. And we know that our builders on the other side welcome the participation. Know that city inspectors sometimes may be viewing 10 or 12 homes in one day, and sometimes only have 30 minutes to spend in there. Get a pre-drywall inspection, if nothing else, and a follow-up inspection before the builder's warranty expires. Then you've had a chance to live in the home for a minute or two, and maybe even seen a couple other things yourself before you ask them to help with anything. But having a reputable builder that leads in the industry and does things the right way is a good place to begin. Hope you learned a little bit about new construction and how Toll Brothers does it a little bit better than most in the luxury space. Glad you spent some time with us today. We look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. Thank you.